I intended to live to be 80 so that I could then f*** an 18-year-old girl.
You'd have a hard time finding a woman who wouldn't call him a misogynist. I think that's more telling than any opinion I have.
I have heard about you. She said, like what? That you beat your women beat my women? Yes, somebody told me.
By today's standards, women might burn him at the stake. I love the book Woman.
I would never kill a man who took my woman.
But I refrain from sharing passages with friends.
I might kill a man who took my car. And sometimes when you look at these whores, these $100 whores, you wonder sometimes if nature isn't playing a joke, dealing out so much breast and ass and the way it's all hung together. You look and you look and you look and you can't believe it.
In 1985, a public library in Holland banned Bukowski's book Tales of Ordinary Madness on the basis of it being discriminatory against certain groups. One such point of contention was his controversial portrayal of women, with numerous critics proposing his work no longer relevant to a modern world striving for equality. This criticism is now more relevant than ever. Some say he was a misogynist, while others claim he was merely misunderstood. So who's right? Throughout this video, I will sometimes be quoting directly from an essay, The Portrayal of Women in the Novels of Charles Bukowski by Jani Korhonen, linked in the description below. This is how he introduces the women characters in his book. April was on the heavy side, but not too fat. She had big hips and a large ass, and her hair fell straight down. There was something about the size of her, rugged, like she could handle an ape. To my right sat a rather dark blonde, gone a bit fat, neck and cheeks now flabby, obviously a drunk. But there was a certain lingering beauty to her features, and her body still looked firm and well-shaped. In fact, her legs were long and lovely. Even the daughter of the woman that he's in a relationship with does not escape this malady. Lisa. I liked Lisa. She was going to be a sex pot someday. A sex pot with personality. Take note that he's talking about a child here. Every woman is introduced in the way that a seller might market his goods to a buyer, as if they're cattle to be sold, stripping them of their humanity and dignity, stripping them of what the speaker considers irrelevant in the woman, that is, intellect, personality, selfhood, and endowing them with a single objectifying purpose, the beauty or lack thereof of their body. At a certain point of reading his work, I questioned whether Bukowski, in writing Chinaski, saw women as human beings and not just coin slot machines for sex. Is it wrong to portray women in a sensual context? No. Nevertheless, it seems as if Bukowski is intellectually unable to write about a woman without mentioning her body. But more importantly, perhaps the most prominent accusation leveled by Bukowski towards women is that of unfaithfulness. Escape from the black widow spider is a miracle as great as art. What a web she can weave, slowly drawing you to her. She will embrace you, then when she's satisfied, she will kill you still in her embrace and suck the blood from you. I escaped my black widow spider because she had too many males in her web. And while she was embracing one and then the other and then another, I worked free and got out to where I was before. She'll miss me, not my love, but the taste of my blood. But she's good, she'll find other blood. She's so good that I almost miss my death, but not quite. I've escaped. I view the other webs. There's also a sense of hostility directed towards women, a sense of ill will and resentment. Sometimes the language employed is downright degrading and insulting. While driving around town with his girlfriend in his book Post Office, the driver's story is recounted. The midget was married to a very beautiful girl. When she was in her teens, she got a Coke bottle trapped in her and had to go to a doctor to get it out. And like in all small towns, the word got around about the Coke bottle. The poor girl was shunned, and the midget was the only taker. He'd ended up with the best piece of ass in town. This is meant to be comedic, however, yet again, the language used is brutally reductive, and you're left wondering why Bukowski had such a vendetta against women that he talked about them in such a disrespectful manner. Why did he write like this? In order to answer this question, we have to go back to a small bathroom in a suburban town where a certain poet, not yet discovered by the world, would stand trembling as his father lashed him over and over with a razor strop. The reason for such cruelty was usually nonsensical and perverse, such as he would tell Bukowski to mow the lawn and leave not one single hair sticking out. But this was obviously an impossible task set up for another session in the bathroom. After the beating was stopped, he would look to his mother and ask, "Why didn't you help me?" And his mother would respond with, "The father is always right." To add on to this, Bukowski also suffered from severe acne which isolated him and drove him further away from women. No wonder people stared. No wonder they said unkind things. It was not simply a case of teenage acne. These were inflamed, relentless, large, swollen boils filled with pus. I felt singled out, as if I had been selected to be this way. The book Ham on Rye ends with Bukowski staring longingly through a window, watching the girls and boys dance together in elation at senior prom, catching his reflection in the mirror and walking away. From beating his wife to cheating on her, Bukowski's father severely damaged his psyche from a very young age. Charles himself said that when he was fighting with a woman, he felt like a chicken shit, and he thought it was a legacy from his own father, that he and his father had the same blood in their veins, and that this was one of the reasons why he could treat a woman unfairly. To add on to this, his own mother chose being a wife over being a mother, so Bukowski never had the opportunity to see a woman as more than just a sexual counterpart. He would go on to see his mother in all the women he would ever meet, anticipating betrayal. Because his own mother was not loyal to him. His own mother watched and applauded as he was beaten by his father once or twice a week for the most ludicrous reasons. An unloyal woman was all that he knew, and that is what we have to contend with reading his work, in which a woman is someone who betrays her own gender, her husband, her boyfriend, or primarily her own child. She may take different shapes and sizes, which Bukowski will describe in the most vulgar fashion, but she always betrays in some integral way. One could say that Katharina was the source from where Hank's exaggerated aversion towards women sprang. He always expected females to behave in the same manner as his mother, and if the woman he met did not act as his mother, he was almost surprised. Hank used his mother's persona as a measure when he judged other females, and she, of course, was not the best female role model. It is important to note that Bukowski did carry a certain self-awareness of the fact that he was the common denominator that sought out women who were unfaithful or unavailable. All I've ever known are pill freaks, alcoholics, whores, ex-prostitutes, mad women. You couldn't stand a good woman, Bukowski. I need a good woman. I need a good woman more than I need this typewriter, more than I need my automobile, more than I need Mozart. I need a good woman so badly that I can taste her in the air. I know that she exists, but where is she upon this earth as the whores keep finding me? Through this poem, we can see that Bukowski did actually believe that there was a good woman out there, and that it was him who couldn't find them. So it's not that he believed every woman was unfaithful, but more so that it was him who unconsciously sought after them. His acne, no doubt, contributed to his feeling of insecurity and his fear of being unattractive, which he may have projected onto women later on in his life. In objectifying and reducing women to their bodies, in being critical and suspicious of the women in his life, in being hostile, Bukowski rejected women first before they could ever reject him, which was his biggest fear. By the start of the video, I mentioned that a public library banned Bukowski's book, but I did not mention his letter in response. In my work as a writer, I only photograph in words what I see. If I write of sadism, it is because it exists. I didn't invent it, and if some terrible act occurs in my work, it is because such things happen in our lives. I'm not on the side of evil if such a thing as evil abounds. In my writing, I do not always agree with what occurs, nor do I linger in the mud for the sheer sake of it. Censorship is a tool of those who have the need to hide actualities from themselves and from others. Their fear is only their inability to face what is real, and I can't vent any anger against them. I only feel this appalling sadness. Somewhere in their upbringing, they were shielded against the total facts of our existence. All that he did was take a snapshot of a mind that was deprived of the love of either his father or his mother, deprived of the attention of women in his formative adolescent years, a mind that formed alongside a childhood that was nothing but deeply unjust and toxic. That is the sort of mind that despises the world and the people in it, the sort of human whose hatred is all-inclusive and does not discriminate on the basis of gender. Nowhere does Bukowski say that the behavior and sentiments mentioned in his books are moral or acceptable. He just wrote what he knew. I think at the end of the day, Bukowski had a complex and complicated view of women which shone through whenever he wrote about them. And because of this, his work is more insightful, intellectual, and more importantly, timeless when he wrote about subject matter unrelated to women.